in the province of Ontario, we have a premier who says, I don't do protests. I don't do anything that these special interest groups say that I should do. I don't give a shit if you put 250,000 people on the front lawn of the legislature. It means shit. Because the people who live and the people who die in the street are considered to be a special interest group. Now, when we're told that, and the question's been raised about mass movement and the mass mobilization of people. If you can mobilize every person in the province of Ontario, it doesn't mean that there isn't going to be 75 people die in the streets of Toronto this winter. It doesn't mean that. So when we're confronted by a government that chooses not to respond in any way to public pressure that's through the normal course of the process, then as an advocate and as a participant in that process, you have to examine how far am I willing to go. taxation, we deal with criminal charges, we deal with provincial offenses when people are charged with trespassing for squatting in a building. Those are things that we started a campaign to get every ticket, every criminal charge that the cops in downtown Toronto lay against homeless people. And since we started that, we've gotten 700 or 800 cases, up to 1,000 cases with under the New Safe Streets Act. They've had to open 3 new courtrooms in only to deal with our cases that we're bringing forward. And we stand up when people who are housed get charged or arrested, or people who are more affluent, they can afford representation. Those in society send their lawyer to the court and they don't even have to show up. Well, we do the same thing for homeless people. When homeless or poor people get charged or arrested, we take the matter, we don't require them to attend court, and we go to court and we stand up and we say not guilty. And we fight every single ticket that goes through the system. And not in a means to create a circus, but a means to win. And we, if the cop shows up in the first time, we have it adjourned. Bring that bastard back. If he shows up in the second time, we have it adjourned. We'll have it adjourned until he doesn't show up. And then we say we're ready to proceed, and they throw the matter out. We have a 99% success rate in the courts. Lawyers, paralegals are bound by certain rules and ethics of the court. We are not. We go into a courtroom, and the same as we go in to a battle with the cops, we go in and we choose how we're going to fight, and we fight to win. We will not allow the state to build up excessive fines and charges against people so that they can conduct a sweep in the downtown and arrest everybody for unpaid fines. That's an old trick that doesn't work anymore in Toronto. And the cops now, when they know that we're being in court, they don't even show up.
Our motto is that every minute a cop is in court, he's not on the street hassling someone else.
And the money that they think that they're going to get from people, and they don't even have an expectation of money, they have an expectation of control. Some people get charged every single night, and we deal with them one by one through the system. We have a team of law students who volunteer. We have teams of people that we train to do these matters in court, and it may seem trivial to a sense, but those people who are charged and are ticketed, they can say, OCAP's taking care of mine. When a cop writes out a ticket, there's no anarchist in Toronto that takes his ticket, rips it up and throws it in his face. They take the ticket and they laugh and they say, OCAP's going to fight this. And the cops just go, fuck.
Our philosophy really is that, if they want to fight in the streets, we're prepared to fight in the streets. And I think we've more than demonstrated that. But if they're going to take that fight to the courtroom, well, then we'll meet them there and we'll win there too.
Are not participants in the state system. They don't take our membership and waste our time by participating in the system. We are not participants in their system. What we are is we do defend to any length. Our members, our membership, those people who we represent, we will defend them anywhere that a fight goes on or a fight has been chosen by the state. And I want to emphasize again that we don't do it as a circus. We do it and we with integrity and dignity for the people who are charged. They are represented the same as the wealthiest man in Montreal who gets a speeding ticket. The representation is the same, and they know when we go to court, because we scream at them. If a JP says, oh, your client's just a drunk, well, we turn the courtroom into some pretty wild sessions at times, and they will refuse to cite us for contempt because they know who we represent and how we represent them. And we do it enough within the system to be able to have them stomach it. We don't manipulate people and put them up on the front lines, and at the same time we don't compel everybody to be on the front lines. All of us within different organizations and different factions within our own communities have a role to play in the broader struggle. Nobody is put aside because they're concerned about educating or that they're non-violent. At fights, there's a front line, there's a middle, and there's a back. And people can choose where they want to be as long as people choose to be there. And that's important for people to understand. That we can choose our place in the struggle, and as we get more comfortable, we can advance and move through those barriers that are placed up. first that the Ontario Coalition Against Poverty is an organization that has been largely thought of as an advocacy group for homeless, for the poor, for those marginalized in society. And what OCAP is an organization that is anti-capitalist, that is a revolutionary-based organization that seeks to not only remove governments from positions of power, but to remove the very system and the foundation that allows those governments to form, that allows those governments to emerge, and that allows those governments to target people in particular who are vulnerable in society. So the Ontario Coalition Against Poverty, even in speaking to the issue of globalization, realizes that we live in a state that is a participant in the globalization movement. We live in a state that chooses to target, attack, exploit working and poor people simply for the fact that we are not profit-generating citizens within that body. We homeless people do not participate necessarily in those recognized functions of society that government would perceive as being true participants in society. And poor people who depend largely on their income from the state are also viewed as being burdens to the system, parasites, those who seek something only with their hand out. So when I talk about the Ontario Coalition Against Poverty, that's what I'm referring to. We see those people who are the real victims of globalization as the people who make their beds in the streets of Toronto and other major cities in this country. They are the victims. They stand for what globalization stands for. Now, in Toronto, and I'm not going to go through a hard done-by story because that's not what we're about either. There are, however, 50,000 people who are homeless in the city of Toronto. Of that, 50% or 25,000 of them are children. They are not mentally ill. They are not people who choose not to participate. They are simply people who are no longer afforded by the system. the other globalized countries, participating countries, is that there has to be that limitation and it has to be surpassed. People have to go beyond what they personally believe that they can. You have to realize and you have to go beyond that. You have to confront the state and in times, as it has been shown in the past with the Ontario Coalition Against Poverty, we go in and we fucking fight. Because if the state understands one thing, they understand when people mobilize and people fight. Because that's surpassing the limits, the acceptable boundaries of a peaceful society. Now I can tell you that I am a man of peace, and I advocate peace. But I don't sit on my hands and talk about peace, and I'm not a pacifist. Mohawk people believe that true peace comes when those who are in society and who are oppressed by the state gather themselves in such a way that they become a formidable force to that state. That we become an opposition to the state that doesn't allow them to enter into our lives and attack us the way that they have in the past. We believe that peace comes from direct confrontation with the state and an understanding that a peaceful society exists on a balance of power, not the state having power and us having nothing but a balance of power. That they realize that when they make a decision to cut welfare payments or when they change the rules regarding how a tenant is kicked out of an apartment, that when they make that decision, there is consequences for that decision. And when they realize the consequences are severe and grave enough, then they will not proceed on new initiatives. That is how we obtain a peace in society. And that's what the Ontario Coalition Against Poverty also believes. And that's what we advocate. When it comes to a period of time, and our members know, people don't join our organization because they think we hand out soup or blankets on the corner. People join our organization knowing that someday, and most often, quite often, that they're called to the lines and there's an expectation from them. And they make a commitment. We've made a commitment that we will not simply target aspects of society that are unjust. We are an organization that seeks and has its mandate based upon real dignity, real integrity, real self-respect, real justice. Those things that are unjust are challenged. And that's how we as an organization are based. the cops are out there laying charges. And when people are picked up and as they're sleeping in the park and they're moved along again, and when your legs can't carry you any further, and you sit down on a park bench, well, there's a goddamn cop there to say, move it along again. And in Toronto, it's like a society of people that walk around like zombies, like the Walking Dead, because these fucking pigs keep moving them along. And there's no place for people to go. And that's fundamental, because it's not about simply them targeting these people. What it is, it's a target against all of us. If we put ourselves in a position where we no longer feel compassion when we walk down the street, and a homeless man is laying there, or a homeless woman, or another person is there, when we can walk by that person or step over that person and not feel sorrow or disgrace for ourselves or anger at the state, then they have defeated us. It's only when those emotions within ourselves are stirred every single time a person is laying there that we see them. That's what preserves the society. Talk about community. That's what preserves communities, is that sense and that feeling of compassion. Because they're not just people who are on the streets, they are people who are like us. And 50,000 people in the streets, 50 fucking thousand people in the streets. And it's easy to become cold to that. It's easy to be pissed off when you get hit on 8 or 9 times in a block for some change to help a mom get food for her kids. It's easy, and you see it in the faces of people. And we have to be careful not to become cold to that. Because when we do, we will lose. We will simply not be a part of a developing revolutionary society. We will become intellectual zealots who talk about philosophically how this whole thing can be changed. And we detach ourselves. We don't do things in communities. Communities do things in communities. We offer resources, we offer people, we offer support, we offer fight. And when communities take that, then those communities become strong. Then they learn to protect each other. When the tenant's getting kicked out, you don't go. And in some cases, you don't go to that person's house and say, you're fucked. I'll help you move your stuff. You go to that house and you stop that sheriff from coming in. If it's an apartment building, you organize an apartment building so that people protect people in that building. That's how it works. And it is about rent strikes. It is about those things that tax strikes that can make the change. ultimately saying we can only work within the confines of the law. Because the law is not a law that allows or breeds contempt for one segment of society is not a just law. A law that allows for 50,000 people to sleep in the streets is not a just law. There are laws that are made, and those laws must be opposed. We not only have a fundamental obligation, we have a responsibility as people in this society to oppose those laws and oppose them to the degree that's necessary and to break the state. That's how they have to be confronted. Not within the law, not within the system, not bound by it, but in any way, any means necessary.
the very foundation that allows these like organizations to emerge from. It's not enough for us to remove Mike Harris from Ontario and say, okay, everything's better because the Liberals are going to take over. It's not enough, because it's the very foundation of the system itself that allows these bastards to emerge. And we must change that system to never allow these attacks to be made against people again. That's what OCAP stands for. That's what it stands for when I talk about revolutionary change. We cannot simply accept tokens now from the government of Ontario as being concessions to our demands of raising the welfare rate. We will not permit concessions to be made that will stop us in our move forward, because it is too late. It's too late for every person and they know that. And the people who have put their lives down, the people who have died on the street, they are not homeless psychiatric survivors. The people who have put their lives down in the street to show this contemptible system that exists over us, they are martyrs to our cause. And their lives will not be put down without retaliation and consequences. Ever. One person's death is enough to remove a government from the state, and impossible to remove the state from the people.
That concerns me is that when we're talking about education, sometimes we use education as a barrier to prevent ourselves from becoming further involved. That we feel we need to reach out and further educate people, and that all those other things that get put aside in order that we think that we educate and we educate. And I heard a sister this morning who said, well, a woman who sits at home knows that she can't buy a bag of milk for her kid. Now, what more education is required for a poor person to stand up and fight? Do they have to know the difference between capitalism or how corporations or global capitalism or global whatever? What people need to know, they already know.
that that there is a place for everybody, and I can't say it enough that I think what is most important, when you're going forward and when we approach things in the way that the uncompromising way that we do, that there's an allowance for people to take their place where they see their place as being in that. While on one hand, people aren't dismissed or lectured, whatever, for throwing a rock at a cop's head, at the same time, people aren't dismissed for being at the back of a crowd either, or for doing research for the organization on an issue that we're working on, or for being a person who maintains our radio show or puts together that publication, or does intake work for cases, or represents people in court. I mean, there's all these different elements, and I don't think that we can worry about alienation in the sense that I think it's vital to put out there what your organization stands for, and the fact that we will defend ourselves physically when that needs to happen, that we will fight physically when that needs to happen, because otherwise people don't know what they're signing on for. Otherwise it's a lie, and people have to be able to make that decision because it's fair and just for that person, but also because we have to, we want people who agree with us to come to our organization. We don't want to have to deal with debates around these issues when that is solidly and wholly and conclusively how we operate and what our orientation is. So I don't know.
state took it upon itself, as it has with other organizations, to levy charges against key organizers of OCAP. Part of that tactic has to deal with the disruption of the organization and the disruption of its effectiveness. Now, we know from past experience, both with Black Panthers, Brown Berets, the American Indian Movement, Red Power, that the state has intervened in those organizations in a similar way and has successfully disrupted them and in fact dismantled them. Now with OCAP, we were aware from the beginning that they would be targeting our organization and our membership in any way that they could. And as a result of June 15th, we simply brought in a plan of whereby when an organizer is taken out, one takes its place. When a person is taken down, another fills his shoes. The organization since June 15th has not stopped, and in fact we felt it incumbent upon ourselves to escalate the fight even further, to show them that these tactics will not be effective against our organization. And what they've seen since June 15th is not a de-escalation and where you move around and suddenly you amass your people at the courthouse every time there's appearance. We don't do that. We don't have show trials. We don't have people arrested or charged simply to make a point in the media or in the state's courtroom. It's not that way. When we have a comrade who goes down, of course they're supported. Those who are still in jail we maintain campaign money, we maintain contact with them. But the strict understanding is that if you're taken off the battlefield, don't expect the battle to stop. That everything continues in your absence, and not cold and callously, but rather practically. Because our principles and our objectives are things that have to be maintained regardless of what the state does to us. And when they took out John Clark, Jesus Christ, people stood up who are 100 times more violent than John Clark to take his place.
has said, a revolutionary and anti-capitalist, essentially an uncompromising perspective. But at the same time, we seek and we continue to seek to find ways to affect people's lives daily as they are today. So what that means is that, while welfare would be something that overall we would fight, right, as a means of keeping people down, of a means of ensuring that vast segments of society simply don't have enough to live on. At the same time, we're able to deal as an organization when, as happens every single day, people come in who have been wrongfully denied assistance, who have been, for instance, told that fed not to be taking money from somewhere else and are cut off the rolls. Those kinds of situations when Immigration Canada wants to deport someone back to a country where they will be tortured, where they will be raped, where they will be murdered. We can deal with those situations. When someone is facing eviction, we can deal with that situation. And the way that we do that is simply to fight off. What we do immediately is send in a letter to the management of that office, laying out the grievances, laying out the time of the situation rectified. And if they fail to act within that time, be it 24 hours, be it 48, be it 72, we organize a demonstration, take over that office until such time as that situation is worked out. To force a meeting with the management, to storm it, to create any, the degree of disruption that is necessary to deal with it. The same thing with Immigration Canada. We had a situation a year and a half ago, where a Somali woman with 5 children was living under a threat of deportation, a deportation order. We brought 120 people into that office, primarily from the Somali community, and brought people, with an understanding of what this woman was going to be facing and a will to do what was necessary to stop that. And I think that again is the key, is that 2 things. One is people have to see that an organization is able to deal with those daily realities, is able to deal with the fact that their kids are going to bed hungry at night. And also that an organization will deal with those things in a respectful, in an honest, in an integral, and in an uncompromising way. If we say that welfare is wrong, then we will go to the ends of the earth to make sure that thing doesn't happen. And I think that that's key because people, in this community and poor communities everywhere, they really don't have the luxury necessarily of coming out and of talking about these things or about joining a march just to feel good about waving a picket sign around. I can't imagine, looking somebody in the eye who knows that their kid, is going to bed hungry or going to school without proper boots on their feet in the winter, and try to encourage that person to come out and partake in something that isn't going to lead to any substantive or real change. And I think that's the key, and that those things can run concurrently. It was said this morning that when you're looking to build, an alternative way of living, or alternative forms of government in society, or general alternatives, that doesn't come from nitpicking over what exactly that's going to look like. That comes through the process of fighting and action and bringing people up and instilling a sense of pride. Because there's nothing worse than a community or a neighborhood or just a personal feeling that there is no control, that people have no control, that they have no hope. And that's in the way we organize. That's the principal element that we want to instill. That there is hope and that there is pride, and that comes through standing up and fighting back.